I'm still amazed by the scenes at the opening where Jim goes off the hospital and wanders the empty streets of London. Everything is silent, everything is destroyed and desolated, and we don't have a clue why. I can think of a few movies that managed to achieve something similar, like Vanilla Sky in that scene when Tom Cruise runs through an empty Times Square, or in I Am Legend when Will Smith drives through an empty New York. But the feeling is different. This movie captures an unnerving sensation of seeing a place so full of people completely empty. In I Am Legend, it's impressive, but the empty setting is used almost playfully, so it feels different. Besides, the fact that everything looks like The Last of Us gives the impression that this is far in the future, a reality different from ours. But in 20 Days Later, it's literally how things would look like if something went terribly wrong. And it's really cool to see this through Jim's perspective. Nothing but papers, garbage, and money lying around. Which, by the way, the scene when he grabs all the money off the floor is one of the most relatable things in the whole movie.
Oh, an iPhone. Oh, an Apple Watch. Oh.
All of this was achieved with a budget of $8 million. Now, I know $8 million isn't pocket change, but considering there are a lot of movies with budgets over $100 million that turn out pretty bad, I think they did an absolutely great job with this film. But why do we still remember 20 Days Later, even though we'd had a lot of movies and TV series like The Walking Dead since it came out?
Dun dun dun.
The film starts with Jim waking up in the hospital with his tiny wee-wee out. Then he starts roaming around with no idea of what's going on. And I think the still shots looks beautiful here. It feels almost like the fixed camera of old horror games. And the fact that the music keeps increasing adds a sense of urgency that's really cool. Then he arrives at the church and things start looking spooky. But then he says hello, the zombie chase begins. One thing I like about this movie is the danger of a single zombie. The type of zombies used in this movie was a total novelty at the time because, well, they are not your typical slow George Romero zombies. The zombies are people infected with a virus similar to rabies, which make them act like completely deranged people. Here, the zombies run, and even though I like slow zombies and the danger they present when they are in large numbers, I have to admit, zombies in 20 Days Later really do a good job at lowering the humans on the power scale down to here. One problem I see all the time in other movies is that zombies are only a threat at the beginning, but then the characters get weapons and the zombies start to seem like a joke. I don't really understand the obsession with re-establishing the order on the power scale so fast. Once humans are back here, everything ceases to feel life-threatening. All tension is gone. It's as if the writers don't know how to leave humans vulnerable for more than 5 minutes. In 20 Days Later, not only do we have zombies where even one of them is an incredible danger to the protagonists, but they do something really cool. They don't give guns to the characters like in almost every other zombie movie. In this movie, zombies are a real threat. The characters are not expected to survive more than a few days. They only have to defend themselves with the things they have at hand. I love that. Because I feel that guns in movies are like cell phones. It's very easy to ruin everything with them. So everything is a lot more entertaining than if they were just shooting at any zombie around. And what better excuse for not having guns than not being in the United States? It's really cool how the characters in this movie feel real. They don't feel like they are trying to look cool walking around wearing this weird-ass black suit that was conveniently left somewhere at the end of the world.
It clearly has an umbrella logo. Of course you found it in.
When Jim and Selena get to the apartments, oh, by the way, this guy died when visiting Jim's parents' house.
And I miss you.
They find the stairs filled with shopping carts trying to block the path, which is a great idea because apartments only have like one, maybe two ways up. So blocking that is kind of smart. Only they didn't completely block the path, so they walk past it anyway. Then they rest a bit on the stairs. Selena gives him a Pepsi, which looks really out of place because it's weird to see normal products in movies. And that's when they hear zombie noises coming up. We go from silence and being all chill to the characters trying to go up at full speed. And the cool thing is that you can feel their desperation. Like, Jim is not afraid to look pathetic while trying to stay alive. Because I really hate when all the characters are all stoic and calm. Like, it really ruins the immersion and seems really unrealistic. We're talking about trying to save yourself from creatures that don't really feel any fatigue while you climb stairs with the physical state of playing Soul Mask for over 4 months. Completely horrifying. This movie has a lot of little details that makes you realize that the director was thinking beyond moving the characters from A to B. Little details like how the water in the fish tank was just high enough so the fish wouldn't die, but no more than that. It shows that the characters still care, but also we don't have any water, so that's enough. They still do some things that are like... Frank showed Jim that there's still a radio signal after telling him that continuing to live in the apartments is no longer viable. And despite Selena's hesitation, they decide to go. By the way, I like it that the characters give their opinions and are very pessimistic about everything because that's how real life is. I mean, going to the military to try to get a supposed cure. Then the characters live in a cave and everything is quiet until they reach the tunnel. Frank wants to go through and Jim mentions how incredibly bad an idea that is. But hey, Frank is Frank. And well, it was a shit idea. Hannah starts fixing the car until they hear a distant sound and see some rats running from something. This scene is really cool because instead of showing us a full shot of zombies like in any other boring movie, they show us rats running away from something, then the shadows, and that's it. That's all it takes for the characters and the viewer to start panicking. No necessary explosion, just real horror running towards them and clear desperation on their faces. You know they are going to die in a really horrible way if they catch them. And that's enough to feel the desperation in their screams. Then when Hannah finally repairs the vehicle, just a tiny bit of the exposure of the zombies. Really tasteful. I really hate when they show zombies, monster, or creature over and over. The only thing that is achieved with this is to desensitize the viewer and make them not care about the creature anymore. But in 20 days later, it's pure desperation followed by an immense relief when they finally manage to escape. Then comes one of my favorite scenes, and that's the supermarket scene. And yes, more product placement. This is one of the happiest scenes in the whole movie, and it really stuck in my 10-year-old mind. Wouldn't it be great to be able to reach and grab 48 cans of Red Bull just because you want to? I don't know if I have some problem buried deep in my unconscious, but this is a recurrent dream that I have had throughout my life. Going through a supermarket, grabbing tons of stuff, just to then wake up with nothing. And this is a strangely liberating aspect of situations where the order of humanity is disrupted. I mean, you have to fight for your life and maybe at any moment you get caught in a dead end and die in a horrible way, but hey, there's no school. The thought of not having to go to college, not having to get up at 6:30 in the morning to go to a crappy job that you don't really want with only 1 hour free at night to do what you really want to do. Soul Mask. It feels really liberating. Also, this scene provides a breath of fresh air that it's really needed in these movies. You can go from chase to chase the whole movie. The emotion graph will be like this, and no one wants to be here all the time. First of all, because it's not nice. Secondly, because it doesn't let you appreciate the tense situations as you should if you're in chaos like this all the time. Either that or you become desensitized to stressful situations, and that's almost worse. Then Hannah brings the car like coming from Tokyo Drift, and they drive until they reach some sort of video game ruins, showing us again some very nice shots. Here they show another wholesome moment, and this is probably the only moment I've seen Killian act like a regular human being and not some reptilian being trying to pass as human. We see the four characters in a really nice moment where they show us that even in an apocalypse that is rapidly purging humanity, the Earth is still a very beautiful place. And to better reflect the idea, they show us horses. Let's try to think about these horses and not about the thousands of pets that were trapped in their owners' homes. Let's think about the horses. Ah, such a beauty, just like a spirit. We see Selena mewing really hard, talking about more intimate topics and how she came to the conclusion that the most important thing is not only to stay alive, but the moments like these and how from now on you could only consume content that was already created. I like the way the dialogues are written. They feel organic, even the little jokes, like when Jim wakes Selena up and says, "How did you fall asleep?" There are small jokes that give the movie a much more realistic feel. While Selena gives the guys Valium to help them fall asleep, and Jim has nightmares dreaming that they left him alone. Frank sees that he's having nightmares and wakes him up.
Thanks, Dad.
The characters arrive at the military camp and see that everyone has abandoned the place. Frank begins to have some sort of crisis because his plan didn't work out as expected, and this is one of the most unnerving scenes of the movie. Can you imagine being infected by a single drop of blood? Like in The Walking Dead, the characters were fully covered in zombie blood and nothing happened. Here, a single drop of blood is enough to transform Frank in less than 1 minute. The severity of the virus is one of the most interesting things in this movie. Not having to be terrified of being caught and bitten, but also having to live with a constant paranoia that the smallest drop of blood can end up your life. Well, bye, Frank.
And I miss you.
The protagonists are saved by the military. Here we get to the final part of the movie where
They completely change.
the atmosphere and well, are humans more dangerous than zombies? We get a brief introduction to the base and the characters that live there. Everything seems to be going well until the situation starts to smell a little bit fishy, a little bit like butthole. And then we hear this chilling phrase.
From the blockade, I set the radio broadcasting and I promised them women. Because women mean a future.
Jim tries to get Selena and Hannah, but they capture Jim, the one soldier of all the soldiers who try to help them, and take them to be shot in the woods. I think this twist is one of those things that will stick in my mind forever. This, added with the other trillion times in movies or series, have reinforced to me the idea that the military, rescuers, and safe zones are a big no-no. And while the danger is not the zombies, the danger is the humans, is an idea that has been more than explored by the 1 billion seasons of The Walking Dead. This is one of the first movies I remember that did this. And I like that they show this dark side of society, even if we have seen it several times, because unfortunately, things like this usually happen almost immediately after any catastrophe. Anyway, they shot the military who tried to help them, and then Jim managed to escape. We are shown these stupid soldiers dressing the protagonists in a really disgusting scene. And this is probably one of the saddest scenes in the whole movie. Selena, in an attempt to lessen the suffering Hannah is about to go through, give her Valium. Thankfully, they hear the song of a siren and they all run out. From this point on, the movie takes a complete turnaround, and honestly, it's totally satisfying. Jim lures the military and takes them one by one. It's funny because the other day I saw a clip of Killian mentioning in an interview how miserable he was while filming this scene.
Freezing. But I remember, Danny, he's so great visually. His films are always so confident visually, and I knew that it would look great if we got it right. But it was miserable.
And in my opinion, it was totally worth it because he looks really cool. This is where the theme everyone knows starts to play. They did an excellent job of making Jim look like a deranged man as he was taking out each of the soldiers, even when one of them begged him not to leave him. The song they use is perfect, and you can tell they know it because they use it like 19 times in the next movie, and the rain and the use of very fast shots make this whole part of the film feel very frenetic, cold, and wet. The music starts escalating, and the truth is, I was really glad that all these dipshits were dead. After reaching the atmospheric climax, it all ends with afterwards, they try to escape in the car, their general dies, and they crash into the fence surrounding the military compound.
Fucking do it!
Here is where a time jump occurs, and we are shown Jim, Selena, and Hannah in a beautiful and quiet mountain, which looks twice as beautiful since for this sequence they use film and suddenly everything looks 4K. The girls try to get the attention of a plane and succeed. All really beautiful. Now, this is supposed to be a happy ending, but getting help from the plane is what? Another safe zone? No! For this movie, there are several endings. I will leave a link in the description so you can see the alternative endings. In my opinion, this is the best ending for the movie because I don't think the others makes much sense. Anyway, it's interesting to see the other possible endings for this movie. I think this movie has a lot of merit. Not only it's the first movie to present many themes that later started to appear in different movies and TV series, but they did it with a relatively low budget. 20 Days Later managed to make, in my opinion, one of the best zombie movies out there, with one of the best soundtracks, an excellent use of tension, vulnerability, silence, and a very realistic way of presenting what a zombie apocalypse will be like. I love how the characters feel as if they were normal people from the street, and I think the decision to shoot pretty much all the movie with digital instead of film was a relatively success, as it helped to deliver this feeling that you are watching some survivors almost like in a documentary format. Now, I think it's a complete ripoff if you try to buy the Blu-ray edition because, well, it doesn't get any better than this. Anyway, I really love this movie, and I hope it helped you a little bit to remember the positive things it had. Now, apparently, they are working on a sequel called 28 Years Later, and Cillian Murphy will be in it. So that's cool. What do you like about this movie? Did you like the second one? Remember, I always read your comments, so any question or anything, I'll try to reply wherever I had some time. Remember that you can leave a like if you like the video, and if you like my content, you can always subscribe. We're just about to reach 1,000 subscribers, so thank you very much for all the support and comments you guys have left me in past videos. I hope you are doing great and have a nice week. Bye bye!